Hello fellow Gene Ralliers, this is Putz, and today I will be taking you through a tutorial of the NAGRCA GT series management sheet for your team. So, at first glance, of course, this thing may look kind of complicated. We've got a bunch of tabs down here, and each tab has a bunch of columns and numbers and places where you can put in numbers and all kinds of things, and yes, I will admit it may look a little confusing. Hopefully I'll be able to clarify all the questions you may have throughout the course of this tutorial. So, this first page here is very straightforward. You all can probably figure this out for yourself. But you just put in your team name here, your own forum nickname, and of course your car numbers. And this will be the last time you touch this first sheet for the rest of the series. This is just your base information. Now we'll move to the drivers and team members sheet. Now this is the page where you're going to be putting in drivers and team members, obviously, after you sign them, which for team members, once team member signing up, you just simply choose a team member, first come, first serve. And the drivers, it's a little bit different. You have the signing time when you put in what your contract offers are, contract length and signing bonus, to up to 5 of your desired drivers. And at the end of a specified period, which is going to be 1 week before the first round, drivers will sign contracts, whichever one is most favorable to them. So, let's pretend that we've completed driver signing, and we signed 2 drivers here. We signed Wayne Donington, and also Dave Schorn. So those are our 2 drivers for the team. And let's say we gave Donington a contract length for the full season and Schorn for only half the season. Now you can see that you can simply copy and paste these drivers into the sheet, and that way it's pretty straightforward. Now unfortunately the team members, I didn't design that quite so well, so you kind of have to piecemeal it in. Let's say Gerhard Klein was our choice. So we can copy in his name, his salary, his focus, which is arrow, his nation, and of course his special ability, which is the most important part of a team member. So there we have our drivers. Now we have to deal with preseason signing costs, and of course also the salaries. That comes in over here in these boxes. So in each of these rounds, you're going to be inputting the salary of each driver or team member, and of course also firing costs. I'll cover that in just a second if you choose to fire a driver. And then here's the preseason box, which for drivers that works a little bit differently than the rest of the rounds will. So for the preseason, you must pay their salary, or the cost to sign, which is what the COS stands for, plus their signing cost per race times the contract length minus 1. So in this case that would be 5, which is the signing cost per race, times 9, which is the contract length minus 1. So that's 92. And let's say we offered him a signing bonus of 8 to give it around 100. And then Schorn, the same thing. It would be 40 plus 2 times 4, which is 48. Let's say there was no signing bonus offered to him. And then the team member, their preseason signing cost is simply their salary. And that is that part. And now we have the salary. Well, first let's show you. It's automatically subtracted from your bank account. So now we have a little less money in the account. So each round, after the end of the round, you'll be inputting the salaries of each driver. Just like that. That's all you have to do. The only complexity comes is if you fire a driver. Now let's say we get down here to round 3 and we decide we want to fire Schorn because he's not driving well and replace him with a better driver. So the rule for firing a driver is you must pay half of the remaining salary that would be owed them. In this case, 2 round salary, which is 80. So to fire him, that would be 40. But also, you have to include the cost of the new driver you sign. Let's pretend that the new driver we sign has a salary of 43 per race. So you'd add 40 and 43 to get a total of 83 for the total salary cost for that car for that round. That's the 40 of the firing cost for Scorn and 43 from the cost of the salary of the new driver. Now, just for sake of another example, let's say we decide to fire Scorn after round 2. Now his firing cost would be half of 3 round salary, which would be 40 times 3, which is 120. So half of that is 60. So to fire him would be 60 plus 43 of the new driver. That's now 103 money to fire him at that point. So that's the driver sheet. That's not too bad, is it? Fairly simple, I think. You just need to remember to input just simply the salary, and the preseason is probably the most complicated part of this. And now we will move on to the sponsorship part of the sheet. As you can see, there's space for a sponsor for each car. Now we have this PR value, which is short for public relations, which you can get more PR by doing well in races or by doing research, which is public relations related. And it's also possible to lose a little bit of PR through races if your driver doesn't perform well. So let's go and take a look at the sponsor market here. Now, as you notice, each sponsor has their offer, which is basically how much they pay you after each race, their PR bonus, which is the PR level at which they'll give you bonus money on your contract for every race. So if you're at or above that PR level, you get bonus money. If you're below that, you don't get bonus money. And then there's the minimum PR, which if you fall below that at the end of a race, the sponsor will cancel their contract with you, and therefore you will have to look for a new sponsor, or you may have to go sponsorless. So we have an initial PR level of 5. So that means we can only sign a contract with a sponsor that has this PR of 5 or less. So let's just choose 2 sponsors here. Say for Donington we take 365 Insurance, and for Scorn we choose Atera. Now, sponsors are first come, first serve once the sponsorship selection period opens. So that's all we've got as far as sponsors go. But then we come over here to this table, which looks similar to the table on the driver and team member, which it is because it's the same sort of principle. Each round you simply, up here, you input the contract offer, which is the amount they pay you after each race. So after the end of a round, so say we've finished the first round of racing, you just input their contract offer. That will extend all the way likely to the end of the season, unless either you lose a contract due to a drop in PR, or after round 5, if you're at 9 or above PR, you can have the option to get a new sponsor contract with a more lucrative sponsor if you so desire, which will probably be likely for most teams. And then we go down here, we have the bonuses area, which each sponsor, that's related to the special. So there's various specials such as bonuses for podiums, pole positions, advancing to the A main, advancing to the B main, winning, top 3 in A main, things like that. So let's say Donington got on the podium in round 1, so that's a bonus of 10. And if Scorn were to get the pole position, that would be a bonus of 8. Now there's also these driver bonuses, which for most drivers that doesn't apply. There are a couple of drivers, such as if we go down to the driver list and go all the way down to the bottom here, Anna Patrice has, as one of her specials, 60 bonus sponsor income, which that would then go in her box under here, and that's bonus money paid by the sponsors. And that's all for this sheet. We'll talk about PR a little bit later in the tutorial. Now we'll go and take a look at the parts market in just a second. So here's the parts market. We have 4 different divided up sections. As you can see, I'll quickly scroll for you. Now we'll go through it a little bit more detail. You have, for all the cars, any team can purchase any of these parts in this section up here. things like the adjustable gear ratio, an aero kit, different wings, turbos, stuff like that. And then you've got each manufacturer. You can only purchase these parts if you're racing for that manufacturer. So you have Venom. You can only buy the Venom parts if you're racing the Venom STR. Same with Typhoon and the AR2. Now, to buy parts, all that is required that you do is you simply put a 1 in the column next to what you want to buy. Let's say we want to buy the Deluxe Aero Kit in this case. And your part is bought. And it totals up the money you've spent, and that is then subtracted from here. Which, let me get rid of this sponsor stuff so that you can see what it would look like pre-season. So there you have it. And now we'll move on to the car tab. Well, before I go to that, just reminder, all you have to do is put a 1 next to the part you wish to buy, and that part is now available for you to equip to your car. And I'll show you how to do that now in the car tab. So you see here, you have all these columns for different values, and you have all these different spots where you can put in values for parts. Now, we haven't decided which car we're going to have yet, so if we go take a look at the cars that are available, now let's say we decided to drive the Typhoon, have our team drive for Weston. So you just copy over the base values. Oops, that was not what I meant to do. You just copy over the values. You don't need to copy over the headers. And we start with the standard engine, which is specified here, and also the cost of the car. Now, the cost of the car is for one car, but you're buying 2. So subtracted from your bank account is going to be twice that value, and as you can see, we're now left with only $338 money after buying the car. And so you have here the base values, and over here is where you put in the info from parts you buy. So, say we bought the Aero Kit, the Deluxe Aero Kit that is, and that gives us minus 0.2 air resistance. So we come over here, and I actually already have the name there. You just put the part name there, and put in the changes that it makes. So minus 0.2 air resistance, and as you can see, it's subtracted out right there. Now there's also the miscellaneous parts, which are a little bit more complex to do. Not really, it just requires some basic arithmetic. So for each of these different parts, there's the engines, the aero, the wing, and the turbo categories. You can only have one of those equipped to the car at any one time. Now the miscellaneous parts, let's say we bought also a carbon fiber hood and the weight reduction mods. So you have to add together all the stuff if it's in the same category. So in this case, carbon fiber hood gives us minus 10 mass. Weight reduction mods gives us minus 30. So that's a total of minus 40 in the mass category. And then we simply list those parts over there in the miscellaneous parts section. So you see the carbon fiber hood and the weight reduction mod right there. And that's all you have to do for the parts. Now there's also team bonuses which are applied from the team members. In this case, our team member, Klein, gives us plus 5 to top speed but minus 10 to downforce. So we go to the car, top speed 5, and then downforce minus 10. And that's what happens with the team members. Now you see this research column. We'll get to that in just a short bit, but that's all for the team bonus part. There's also one other little notice here. The gear ratio is only available if you buy this adjustable gear ratio upgrade for 20 money. Let's go ahead and purchase that. Now we have the ability to change the gear ratio. 0 is the normal neutral gear ratio. If we put in a 1, that'll give us a top speed focus gear ratio, which as you can see, it changed the power and the top speed. Now if we put in minus 1, that's the acceleration focused gear ratio. That gives us 453. So the power increases, but the top speed decreases. So you may want to buy that and be able to adjust for different types of tracks and different track conditions. So that is the car tab.